Welcome, Mental Health Monday family. So good to see you guys today. This is our season 4 grand finale. We will have programming during the summer, but just not live programming. It will be picking the best of the past 4 years of Mental Health Monday. But we are just happy that you have decided to join us this evening for our final discussion in season 4. We won't say we will never visit these topics again because we know we will at some point. But women's mental health. We're so happy that you guys are here. Please put in the chat where you are viewing from. And if this is your first time, please put a 1 in the chat so we can say a special welcome to you to Mental Health Monday. Clint, you did not disappoint. You were the first one. Welcome, Clint, from Longview, Texas. Good to always see you here, Clint. We still want to meet you in person, Clint. And we really do. I think we're going
Seriously,
to have to make that happen. We have to make
seriously.
that happen. But yes, and we have Shan P, I think, from Beaufort, Georgia. Good to have you here with us. We have with somebody from South Carolina. Welcome. Good to see you here. Always good to see all of you. Welcome, Dr. White. I've just started talking to our viewing audience. I didn't even say welcome to my co-host. Hi.
Hey, Atante, how are you?
Good. Was rushing and it was late, guys. We were late today simply because of me, not because of Dr. White, not because of technical difficulties. It was me. It was absolutely 100% me. Yeah, I just had the brightest idea that, I mean, oh, and happy Memorial Day to everyone. And I just had, because we're going on vacation on Thursday, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to work. I'm going to see a few clients on Memorial Day because I'm going to be taking off in the middle of the week. So it was just like, and it just threw my whole kind of day off where everybody's like still on their weekend. I started my Monday. So sorry for being a little tardy, guys, today, but we're
Oh,
happy that you are here. We have a 1 in the chat. This is Kaylani, I think. Kaylani Ward, welcome to Mental Health Monday. We're so happy that you're here with us. We are talking about women's mental health. And if you missed, is this our third one or is this our second? Was last week our first one?
man, I think this is our second, if I'm not mistaken.
Not third. Okay. So if you did miss last week, you'll have to check that out. And also, you'll just have to check us out on Living Mana YouTube page. We have 4 years worth of Mental Health Mondays, so you can peruse the extensive library of programming. If you want to check out some of the things that we have done in the past, we are taking a summer break from live programming, but we will be airing some of, again, the best of. I missed some of the viewers here. We have Seattle, Robert from Seattle. Welcome. Good to see you here.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, Sharon Faye, good to see you as always. So yeah, so continue to put in the chat where you guys are viewing from. Share this on your social media and invite. This is for men and women because men are showing up to learn how they can best support the women in their lives. They're, give them the best support. Just like when we were talking about the men's mental health, we were inviting women to show up, how to know how they can best support their men. Kaylani Ward is from Barbados. Welcome.
Absolutely.
Very good to have you here. I've never been to that island, but I've heard it's very beautiful. So welcome all the way from Barbados.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. And you guys are a part of our conversation tonight, as you know. And last week, you guys saw that we want your questions. We want your comments, and we will do our best in answering your questions. And again, we're talking about women's mental health this evening. All right. Dr. White, this has been a fun topic. The men's topic was a lot of fun as well.
100%. 100%.
And it was, just going over your guys' questions from last week. It was like, man, we ran out of time and we thought, all right, we have to carry it over into this week as well. So yeah, get your
I
questions.
I have a question for you.
Okay, here we go. Start it off, Dr. White.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't hear a word from you on trying to maintain your mental health while supporting a pastor.
Oh, mercy. Yeah.
What are the boundaries you have to set? What does that
Okay.
look like? What Yeah, if you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, that's easy now, 28, almost 28 years in, to answer that question. Early on, I was clueless on what to do. But now that it's, been this amount of time, I've learned. So to protect for balance, you just have to learn again, it's a Dr. White quote, how to say the beautiful no. How
Mm,
to say the beautiful no.
mm,
People have uh called Ivor the gas and me the brakes, and we're
mm.
much heavier on the brakes than we are the gas. Now, in the beginning, it was like, my husband would say yes to everything, and I'm just like, whoa. And again, we had to make many mistakes before we learned. We had to fall before we could fly.
Mm.
So, I think the biggest thing is to protect our family, our marriage, our peace, is to not say yes to everything, to put our marriage first, our children second, and the church third. That's how it has to be. The other thing, believe it or not, another one, that one is huge though. And
That was
especially,
huge. You almost have to let that simmer.
yeah, I
You
think I
put
know
the
something to
church third, like,
third.
and
Has
that's
to be third.
healthy, and that's healthy.
Yes. And I love Living Man at Church because they completely support that concept. They're just very supportive in that way. Um, there's sometimes, in the Seventh Day Adventist Church, all the churches are part of a conference. And then depending on what part of the world and cultural areas, they kind of sometimes demand a lot from the pastor. They really want, it's cultural in some settings that's reverse, where they want the church to be one, then the spouse and the kids third. I'm not saying they like want it, they don't say that, but they are demanding so much from the pastors that that's what they're basically saying, and so
Because
that can.
because who
Mhm.
cares if they say one thing, but they put the systems in place to do the other?
Right. Exactly.
And the reality
Exactly.
is, if you don't put your marriage first and your kids first, when that
Hmm.
falls apart, the church really is not going to get prioritized. But
Right.
but when those things are stable, then it allows you to give consistently in a sustained way to the church. So that was a
Hmm.
profound statement. So it's profound that you'd be so honest.
Yeah,
But
no, that's the
it's
truth.
yeah,
That's definitely the truth. The other thing is, and we like did this, we learned this early on. Will not mention the couple, and people on here will not know and remember, but this is almost 30 years ago. There was a very prominent Adventist ministry couple who had a very public divorce, and because they were very public figures. And what I'm bringing up is that they were so sought after, and they both had ministries together, but they offered different things. And so one would be like on a plane going this way, and the other one would be going on a plane going the other way. And so they hardly ever traveled together. So they were separate a lot. And so early in the marriage, I mean, like in the first few years, because Ivor started sharing his testimony and people would want him to come speak. And we made it a rule that we'd always travel together, unless we, for some reason, decided I didn't go, or the kids didn't go for some reason that we decided, but not because they were like, oh, we can't bring your family or we can't bring your wife. It was like, if you can't bring your wife and family for the most part, then he can't come. So,
so it was
so
putting
they had to
boundaries.
figure it out. They had to figure it out. And to this, I mean, we traveled way more then under those guidelines than we do now. I mean, because of the internet and social media, we don't need to honestly travel as much because we can reach more people just doing what we're doing right here.
Absolutely.
So those are the things that caused my mental, or that helped my mental health. Still doesn't mean that it wasn't stressful, um, or isn't stressful at times, but just the boundaries, just protecting that order, marriage, well, God, marriage, children, church.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
All right. We have a question. How do you distinguish between a woman experiencing clinical burnout or depression versus her exhibiting a healthy, functional protest against an unsustainable or unequal relationship dynamic? Ooh, good question. I'm going to let you take a stab because I did a lot of talking already.
I know it's good. All right. So first off, Robert, thank you for that great question. Robert 1844. And you said clinical burnout or clinical depression. So when we're talking about mental disorders, the word disorder is very, very important because basically a disorder is saying that you're having trouble functioning,
Hmm.
whether in your emotional life, personal life, work life, what have you, but there's disorder. So, in other words, it doesn't matter if I like to eat tons of carrots, but
Hmm.
if it's estranging my wife and it's hurting me physically, it's a disorder.
Right.
So, when we're talking about burnout and we're talking about depression, and you said versus her exhibiting a healthy, functional protest against unsustainable or unequal relationship. Well, if it's healthy and this protest, then it should contribute to the person becoming more sustainable. She should be able to give more. You should see the person starting to heal. You should see life improve in many ways. So Robert, it's an interesting question because of how it's phrased, but by definition, if you have disorder, that means there's loss of function, and
Hmm.
the setting of the boundaries should ultimately push the person in the direction of actually being able to deliver on a better level. And it would also facilitate them healing. And that's the best I can answer that question without going into too much in the way of details.
Yeah, I think that was an excellent answer to that question. And great question, Robert. Great, great question. We have another one. I have a hard time being consistent with any task, and it's not from the lack of trying. It's almost like being stuck in cycle, always starting over. How do I work through this cycle? I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. Dr. White is the psychiatrist, so he diagnoses disorders, but he can't do that here because you're not his patient. But I don't know what I mean. I don't know. I want to see what you think, Dr. White. I mean, I don't know enough information. I don't think he would know enough. I mean, he definitely couldn't know enough information just from the question. But I'm curious, Shan P, have you ever been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD? Because it's just very possible. A lot of people go, and you can put in the chat if you would like. You don't have to put the answer in the chat, but a lot of people can go a long ways and never been diagnosed, like they didn't catch it in school, or sometimes there's just some parents are just not don't have enough education to know that that's what that is. A lot of times they're more sensitive now to catch things in schools settings, but that can definitely be a characteristic of not being able to consistently concentrate or have a hard time concentrating
Yeah.
or being consistent at something.
So yeah, if you're at all concerned that you might have attention deficit disorder,
Hmm.
um, then what I would highly encourage is psychologists do what's called neuropsych testing,
Hmm.
and they will put you through a battery of questions and evaluations so that you can walk away with a clear diagnosis. Either you have it or you don't have it. The
Hmm.
beauty of that is when you have that document, you can keep a copy of it so that whatever practitioner now you go to, you have that to start the discussion and say, look, I was formally diagnosed with this issue. If you need
Hmm.
accommodations at school, I was formally diagnosed with this issue and I have paper documentation. When you need to be started on medications, let's say, and a psychiatrist might be a little leery and nervous. I was formally diagnosed with this issue. Here is the evidence. And then
Mm-hmm.
if that's not the issue, a psychologist can also work with you to understand what might be the nuanced issue that you're dealing with. Of course, I'm tempted to just tell you, um, don't give up. Like
Right.
there are some tasks that are very challenging, and you just find you have to start over, but don't give up, and over and over, and then you get it done. Well, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? You're building the habit of getting it done. When you finish a task, it can at times be very reinforcing for you to say, okay, well, now I know what that feels like. Well, let me
Mm-hmm.
do that again, and let me do that again. So yeah, so there's two ways to approach it. One is get yourself a formal workup so that you know what you're dealing with, and then also you can pursue, how do I strategically address that issue?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would address it.
Yes, definitely. A lot of people, there's a lot of adults walking around living with ADHD and ADD. I mean, I have no, I haven't seen a study on this or anything, but I would say maybe half the population has ADD or ADHD or maybe more. I mean, it's so prevalent, but just people are not, just haven't been diagnosed. And diagnosed just means you can either learn tools, if that's what it is, learn tools, how you can better be able to, or tools and techniques that can help you. Of course, there's medication that can be used under supervised by a doctor, of course. But and sometimes people are scared of that, but that's not always that's definitely not the only answer. People, adults, um, children, and teenagers, in high school, they will definitely, um, adults too are under using medication for ADHD. But I've learned that a lot of adults, they kind of learn how their ADHD works and affects them, and they learn how to basically get on top of it without using medication. But it's up to each person what they would like to do with that. So
But the
yes.
proliferation of distraction that
Mm.
we have to deal with today
Mm-hmm.
versus what our counterparts were dealing with even in the
Oh,
19th century,
for
right? I
sure.
mean, you know, like the capacity for someone to disrupt your focus today,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
just astronomical when you think
Oh
about
yeah. Oh, for
it.
sure. With
But
social media, all of that, it's definitely heightened. But guys, we're talking about women's mental health and the things that women face. And so we're going to continue that conversation with you. So please put your questions and your comments in the chat so that we can answer your questions. Um, would like to throw this out there. This is something that women definitely deal with. Um, the pressure to meet society standards, the pressure to meet society standards. And that can be in beauty, that can be in, do you work outside of the home? Are you a stay home mom? You know what I mean? Just the pressures of like the decisions that you're gonna make for your life. Like that causes some mental health issues because they think they're doing what society thinks they should do, but not really what they personally want to do individually because every woman is different. So that's something that women deal with and face. Oh, all right. We have another question. Nowadays, many evil behaviors are blame on mental health. Okay, how can one tell the difference between a person suffering from mental health or a person with evil intentions?
hmm.
Okay, it's a good question.
Well, what's interesting is sometimes, I don't know if you've had any patients like this, Sister Tante,
Mm-hmm.
but like I remember encountering a patient who was actually very rude, right?
Mm.
And the patient tried to blame it on their psychiatric diagnosis. And I said, actually, no,
No.
no, no, you're just being rude.
Yeah.
That's not a that's not a mental disorder. And I don't have a pill for rudeness.
Yeah.
Uh, and stop trying to give the mentally ill a bad name. Like, no,
Yeah.
you're being unkind. You're
Mm-hmm.
and you're choosing to do that.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting how it's important at times to distinguish between this is a person who's depressed, anxious,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder, or having a psychotic break.
Right.
It's one thing to punch a person because demons are telling you to, and it's another to punch them because you're upset,
Right. Right.
and you're being a
Yeah.
bully. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of different. So
Mm-hmm.
now to your question, Deborah, nowadays evil behaviors are blamed on mental health. How can one tell the difference between person suffering from mental health or a person with evil intentions? Well, the DSM-4 often gets a bad rap, but it outlines clear criteria for, is this major depressive disorder severe recurrent without psychotic features,
Mm-hmm.
or is
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't meet that criteria, like this behavior. And so there are situations where, yeah, a person is just being unkind.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Deborah, they're like the Diagnostics and Statistics Manual, the textbook for mental health. It goes through great lengths to provide criteria for the
Mm-hmm.
diagnosis that you are considering, so that there's a pretty distinct demarcation between a clinical diagnosis
Mm-hmm.
and evil behavior.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And to answer your question, if I've ever had a client like that, I there's only one that stands out in my mind. Is just I think I only had one client cuss me out, and that was like with f bombs and everything, and that was just like. But it was the wife of a marriage couples counseling. So, I yeah, but I think that is it definitely yeah that was not that she was necessarily trying to make excuses for her behavior, but I just got to see firsthand like why they're in marital counseling,
Hmm.
how the response was. So, yes, I think, but very good answer to that question as well. All right. If someone you are dating states you deserve better and someone who is all in, what exactly are they saying? Let me go back over that again. Okay, and this is Shan P again. If someone you are dating states you deserve better and someone who is all in, what exactly are they saying? I don't know what they're saying, but I think God is. If you're just dating this person and they're saying that, I think God is trying to get you to dodge a huge bullet. I mean, if they're saying you deserve better, they're saying that, then you deserve better. I would take them at their word. And they're also saying they're not all in. Like they're just basically saying that they're not as committed as they should be. They're just not completely invested in you. That's what I'm taking from what you stated. What are your thoughts, Dr. White?
Well, thank you for asking. um First of all, that was brilliant. And what I'll say is, when you're dating and when you're looking for a spouse, you are looking for your fan club. Okay?
Yeah.
You're looking for your fan club. You're looking for someone who can value your assets, right?
Yes.
When a person makes it clear they're not in that fan club, it doesn't make them a good person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means
Mm-hmm.
they're not in your fan club. Run,
don't look
run.
don't
Don't
look back.
don't try to pull anyone into your fan club. No, they're either there or they're
Right.
not. And it
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean there's anything per se wrong with you. It just means they're not in your fan club. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
oversimplifying it, but it is so important that you find a person who can value who you are and what you're about. Now, I'm
Absolutely.
never one of these people who won't say optimize. Optimize.
Mm.
I firmly believe beauty is one of the most powerful things on this planet. Make
Mm-hmm.
use of it, embrace it, be your best self. Be your best
Mm-hmm.
self. I
Mm-hmm.
know, I know for me, my goal was to make myself the obvious choice to whoever my partner was going to be. Do everything in your position to make yourself the obvious choice. That is your job.
Mm-hmm.
But all that said, if a person can't value what, that's okay. Let me tell you the truth. The truth is, thank God you're finding out now
Mm-hmm.
before you've invested time and money
Mm-hmm.
and merge
Mm-hmm.
families and have children and have a
Mm-hmm.
house, and you have to now untangle a life.
Mm-mm-mm.
Praise the Lord.
Right.
You can part before your heart is shredded
Mm-hmm.
because of infidelity. And look, man, run for the hills and praise God. Put an extra tithe in the plate that you found out early. Okay.
Absolutely,
What
absolutely.
are
And
your
you can
thoughts?
thank them for being so honest.
Yes.
Honestly. That's
Yes.
that's that that's it right there, cuz so many times people are not honest and they are just faking what the reality is, and you end up getting married and then you have exactly what Dr. White just described. So, thank this person. You might
Thank
be
you for
sad
caring
cuz you
enough
thought,
about me to be honest.
yeah, go like yeah, be thankful. Be thankful.
What were you going to say, though? What was the statement you were going to
Well,
make?
I was gonna say you might, you might have. I was gonna say you might have to go and grieve the thought of what you thought the relationship was and who they were, and that's okay. But I'm just like, really, you should be so happy and praising God that I don't even know if you should truly grieve. But then I stopped myself. But you just asked me to say it.
No, but that was such of an important statement. Real talk,
Hmm.
because it's no fun to get rejected. Okay?
Right? It's
It's
not
no fun, and you don't have to deny that. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It does
right.
not feel good.
Yeah.
Own that. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel good. But
Hmm.
your time is coming.
Yeah. It's
Your
coming. And
time is coming. And when you meet that person who is all about you, you're going to feel
right.
so good that
Hmm.
you didn't compromise. Now, again, be your best self, put your best foot forward, because
Hmm.
that does kind of expand the fan club, so to speak. Don't take the steps to shrink the fan club. No, expand it. But
Expand the fan club.
look, man, honor the folk that know how to value you. Like that's
Hmm.
what you're. Oh, not you. That's okay. That's okay.
That's
Just step
okay.
aside. Step aside. I will
I
get
just want
you.
to say this too, and then we're going to go to the next question. But I just want to say, because marriage is, s- even when your partner is in your fan club and your biggest fan, marriage still is very challenging. And I mean, it's beautiful and challenging at this. It's the most beautiful thing you're ever going to experience when you're married to the right person. And then because this is life and we're human and there's sin, it's still challenging. So if you don't have that biggest fan and you're in marriage, it's just so horrible. That's all I can
Mic
say.
mic
It's just
drop.
horrible.
It's hard enough as it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You make finding a fan, someone that can value you.
Mm-hmm.
That helps tremendously.
Yes. All right. So we have Kaylani Ward from Barbados. How does a woman focus on prioritizing Jesus while also holding an abundant love for their husband? How would she know if she idolizes the relationship or not? That's a good, interesting question. I'm going to go over it again. How does a woman focus on prioritizing Jesus while also holding an abundant love for their husband? So, man, it's really not. I mean, of course, you love Jesus primarily. He's Jesus and God is their number one in your life, but that like simultaneously comes over into loving your husband because you love Jesus, you're going to love your husband. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the dynamics of this husband. I mean, even there might be challenges. I'm just, well, you said you're not saying there's challenges. You said how would she know if she idolizes the relationship or not? Well, if you put, I don't know the relationship. I don't know if he's a Christian as well. But another Christian husband is you guys are going to be both in love with Jesus and loving each other. So it's just like Jesus is in the center. So it's this one big love affair between the three of you, Jesus and your husband and your wife. But if the husband doesn't in a relationship with God and doesn't love Jesus that way, then if you are doing things that God doesn't want you to do but your husband does want you to do, well, then that's when I think you're idolizing the husband over God. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dr. White?
So first off, let's just talk about the ideal. They should complement one another. Like, ideally, a love for Jesus will actually direct you to appropriately love your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And in loving your spouse, it should direct you to appropriately love Jesus.
Right.
Okay. But you started the program by talking about Jesus is at the top. So God is at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the marriage. So you'll know you're not idolizing the relationship, Kehlani, when it does not interfere with your love for God. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Sister Tante was a little hesitant with the question, and rightly so, because we don't know the nature of the relationship. And sometimes in a relationship, the ideal relationship would point you back to Jesus. But
Mm-hmm.
there are other relationships who you're not idolizing the relationship and it's still trying to interfere with your relationship with Jesus. And you're not even trying to idolize it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a sort of complication in answering the question that we can't, that it's hard to address. But what are you striving for? Jesus first. But in celebrating Jesus and in serving Jesus, Jesus set us up to serve our significant other and to
Mm.
love them, modeling the love that he modeled for the church. Like we're supposed to be like that in our relationships.
Yes, absolutely. She came back and said this is more just like a theoretical question, and she's not really sure what a pure husband and wife relationship looks like. So I think what you described and what I described is the way that it should be.
Agreed.
So yeah, but thank you. This is okay. Well, yes, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and you can just call me a Tante Myers. I'm not a doctor. So no, I don't have anything. Just a license, yeah, just a LMFT. So yeah. All right. I thought that was another question coming up. But good question, Kaylani. I just wanted to say that was good. Good thinking. Not knowing what made her ask that question, but just to say that, sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times it just depends on the marriages that were modeled before people when they were young or growing up, or they've just been around. That kind of is the only model that they know. So like you want to know, what does a healthy marriage look like? I know I see clients all the time that especially married and couples counseling, who just just never witnessed a healthy marriage relationship within not between their parents, and not maybe grandparents or aunties and uncles or friends. It's just, they were just around a lot of chaos when it came to marriages as young people. And so when they become adults and are in their own relationship, they still don't really know. I mean, sometimes, believe it or not, they'll say, well, they'll have to learn it, like, this is very sad, but through movies or TV. And that's not real, but it's like, this is what the father did in this show. And this is what the husband used to do. So I guess this is how, that's literally where they're first seeing at least a little bit of a glimpse of a somewhat healthy relationship. That's really sad.
It
That's
really
really
is.
sad.
It really is. And it's funny because you walk away from observing toxicity and you say to yourself, I know what I don't want. I'm crystal clear on what I don't want. And you're tempted to be satisfied with that. I know what I don't want, not realizing, no, it's important to know what you don't want, but you also have to clarify what you do want. And
Right.
just because you observe toxicity, it doesn't mean you're going to know what you do want. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why the therapy and the training is so important.
So important. I just want to mention another thing, and I think this is huge for women and their mental health. And I literally know this one personally, but caregiving responsibilities. Women are often primary caregivers for children and aging parents, which can lead to emotional and physical exhaustion, as well as feelings of isolation. That one is
True.
huge.
That's true.
That one is huge. That's a huge part of our mental health. And this is for men and women, to be honest, because men are sometimes the caregivers as well. But
You
But
guys
the
take a lot.
but the daughters,
Yeah.
or women can become the primary caregiver for an aging parent, and it is a lot. I can just a little transparency. I'm so transparent, Dr. White, but I'm actually going through that right now.
Mm.
My mom has lived with us for a year, and I love that I'm in a space that I can do this for her. Um, but it's definitely caused me to take my own medicine, if you will, that I teach other people, self care, boundaries. I have to make sure that I'm protecting what I have to do for myself so I can be that for her. So it's just, and a lot of times, yeah, caregivers definitely, they don't put down boundaries. Their mental health will definitely suffer because this is just a hard time. And the other thing is I feel like, man, we just got finished raising children. And then at that point, they call it the sandwich situation. I don't know, and when we say fully raising children, it's our youngest is 20. And so she's, getting towards the end of her college years, but still basically raised. But they're not fully gone and married and, that type of thing. But so and then you have the elderly parent on the other side. So you have these two things and you're in the middle. So you're still doing, that's a lot. A lot of women are going through that as well, and working and doing all the other things. That's the thing. Women, we think we are Wonder Woman and women, and we are amazing, but we need to put down boundaries so that we're not doing all of those things. And if we're doing a lot of stuff, we still just carve in more time for our self-care. Our self-care is huge. That is where we can deal in a healthy way with the stress of doing those things that I just listed. All right. There's another question from Kailani Ward. All right. I was wondering because I wanted to date and such. However, I'm still healing and not exactly sure when I can step into the pool. You're never perfectly healed, but I also don't want to hurt someone. Yeah. No. Take your time. Just for what you're saying there. You're wanting to, don't rush anything is what I should have said instead of take your time. Meaning don't because you want that person that God has for you. You don't want to go link up with the person that God doesn't have for you, because you're alone now, but you'll be in a relationship and miserable if you're not with the one. It's possible that if it's not the one that God wants you to be with, that you'll no longer be alone. You'll be in a relationship, but you will miss the singleness because the relationship is so miserable. So you want to just take your time and be sure that the next person, since you're still healing, the next person that you are with is the person that you need to be with. That's going to be a healthy relationship. Thoughts, Dr. White?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of times we stress ourselves by the language of dating. It's like I'm dating. And I would say first and foremost, keep it non-sexual. First and foremost, that
Absolutely.
that takes the pressure off. Number one. But then number two, it's conversations. And once you realize, what I'm really focused on is having conversations and having lots of conversations. Now the pressure's off. Hey, I'm so cool grabbing a coffee. I'm so cool, dinner. And my priority is to really and truly understand who you are. And if you're cool with that, let's go. Let's go. And really and truly take the time to understand the person. Um, Now, again, the other thing I would say I would prioritize is safety. Make sure that you are dating in a safe way so that you're not putting yourself at risk.
Right.
But I would encourage, man, have a lot of conversations, because I think as you talk to people, you are going to learn what you value, what you don't value, and it's a pretty good assessment tool to see where a person is and who they are about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the culture, in hookup culture, it doesn't position you to have clarity to assess and keep the
Mm-hmm.
conversation at the center of the relationship.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, like, when the priority is hooking up, that's where you start looking past red flags, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait, those flags were there all along. What was going on? Well, you were being hijacked by oxytocin and dopamine,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So oxytocin binds you to a person and it makes you trust the person.
Mm-hmm.
And dopamine, of course, is the addiction
Right.
hormone. So you're getting
Mm-hmm.
addicted and trusting. And these are, of course, so the idea just being, please, you don't have to be afraid of talking and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also issue the warning and then pay attention to what the person does. Because
Yes.
as men, we will say a lot, we will talk a good game, as women can as well, but we will talk
Mm-hmm.
a good game. But pay attention to, does our behavior back up what we said? I
Yes.
told you Christian values were important, but now I'm asking you to sleep over.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
No.
so pay attention to, do the behaviors align with who I'm, saying that I am.
Love yourself more and enough. Like, let a Christian man say that to you, and just know that that's not love. Meaning, like, there's, like you said, there's saying Christian values are important and their relationship with God is this, this, and that. So, asking you to sleep over, that act is not love. Don't be flattered. Does that make sense? Don't be flattered,
Hmm.
women. Don't be. That's not a, it's not a, that's, yeah, that's not a flattering statement. Meaning, um, a man that really loves you will say, and loves God will not say that to you. That's just the bottom line. And I was going to say, when you said it earlier, because you started off with that, to keep it non-sexual, is because, like you said, like when you're in a sexual relationship, because of all the things that you said that's happening in your brain and all of that, you are completely, even if a red flag pops up, and I think we talked about it last week, you're going to make that red flag look yellow, if not green. You're going to, some kind of way, you're going to try to flip it. Like, oh, no, it's not red. It's not red. No, I can deal with that. Like,
That's a
you are
shade of
not,
orange.
yeah, you're like, it's like, no, or it's not that red. You're not going to, um, you're just going to talk yourself out of making the right decision. Because if there is a red flag, that when you see that early on in a relationship, as soon as you see a red flag, the healthy thing is to exit. Love yourself more than staying in a situation that right off the bat, and maybe not right off the bat, but just a little bit down the road, shows you that it's not the best situation. Love yourself more. All right, we could do a whole program on that, but we'll leave
100%.
that we'll leave that alone right now. Okay, I deal with a lot of adult bullying on my job, and at times I'm mentally stressed out. What boundaries can I set to overcome this issue? Well, this is at your job. So I'm not an HR person, but I even ask my clients this when they're there. I'm like, so have you talked to your HR person about, what's going on? And they were like, yeah. And some of them say, yeah, well, blah, 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 whatever reason. And they said, oh, we've talked to that person. Well, I'm always like, if that person doesn't do anything, your first person that you're supposed to speak to, then go above them and just keep going up the ladder until you get the help that you need, because that you should not have a toxic work environment. I mean, isn't that that's part of the reason why HR department is there.
Yeah, well, Sharon, what I would say to you in addition to that is acquire some new skills. I need you to get as valuable as possible because
Mm-hmm.
value will give you leverage. Uh,
True.
like, so if a person, normally you bully from the platform of a power differential, meaning a person is in power, so they have influence and they're bullying, meaning you may
Mm-hmm.
not have the power. So that can be a very tremendously difficult atmosphere to compete in.
Mm-hmm.
And what levels thing out, the better you get at your job, the more skills that you acquire, and the more attractive you are to the marketplace, to where it
Mm-hmm.
becomes easy for you to either get another job or get an even better job. The more you position yourself for that, the more you empower yourself to not have to deal with the toxicity, because sometimes the channels of human resource, so on and so forth, it's not as available. It doesn't work the way it doesn't work
Mm-hmm.
the way it should. What happens when a CEO is bullying you? And who
Mm-hmm.
does the human resource person report to? The CEO. So now what's going to happen when you go and petition the CEO, the human resource person, about how you're being bullied? They're gonna look at you cross-eyed. You're gonna be like, what do you want me to do?
Well, yeah, and it's not,
Right,
yes,
right,
I'm the
right.
daughter of an attorney. It is not supposed to work that quite that way. They're supposed to be a almost like the middleman between, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be, but then there are a lot of times, but you're right. A lot of times, people will be afraid because they think, oh, if I complain, I'll lose my job because they're gonna, HR is not really doing what they're
Who's the
supposed to do.
attorney, mom or dad?
Mom was she? Yeah, mom was the attorney. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
so I'm always like, okay, if that happens, well, then you have a case. But
Ah,
that's where my mind went to. I'm like, really? Okay, well, yeah, no. But honestly, though, you should not. I understand that we need to that. Sharon, you work because you need money because you have to live and take care of the family and your needs and those types of things. But you should always be in it, just like you should be in a healthy relationship. It shouldn't be toxic. Work shouldn't be toxic either. And if you're not able to, if HR is not able to help you, if it's that type of situation, then, looking into something that, I mean, I like what Dr. White said, but looking into something that's going to be a better situation for you, or even put yourself again just in a better situation, would be the best thing. I mean, like, to be stressed out at work, you're going to get paid and to have a better life, but mentally, and because stress is affecting you physically, like, it's just not giving you all the benefits that work should be giving you. All right. Looks like, okay, Shan P. Okay, I'm a single mom to a daughter, and I fear that not being able to show her what a healthy relationship is because I myself have not seen one. I've been very cautious about dating. Well, Shan P, you're definitely being responsible to your daughter for sure, because you do want to model a healthy relationship in front of her and not just bring everybody you meet home. That's absolutely not. But, there's, you don't have to be or had to have a healthy relationship modeled before you. There's lots of books and other things that can help you learn it. Like, what's a healthy relationship look like? And you know what? I'll even say, even going to therapy and saying that your main reason is to work on you and to also have to learn the characteristics and things that you should be looking for in a partner, in a life partner that you're going to be with, so that you can bring a quality person in for yourself, and to also be a good person, to be a role model, and the relationship be a role model for your daughter. So there's just lots of things that you can do, but even, tuning into Mental Health Mondays, that was a good choice. And asking your question. But I would spend this time while you're alone doing we've talked about this before. Dr. White, again, quoting one of the things you've said, is this time that you are single, this is your free time to just work on you. And the person, I'll say, that God has for you, he's doing that now too. So you guys are working on yourselves right now. And when the cake is ready, then you take it out the oven and you guys will meet. God will ordain that. But this is just as singleness can be a beautiful time, because it's much harder to work on you once you're already in the relationship.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's just so much going on during that time. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's harder. Like you want to go, and when you're working on you, your health, you're more healthy minded. So you're going to your picker is going to be stronger and wiser, so that you're choosing well. And that's a good example for your daughter. Like, and the reason why I said you're doing well by your daughter now is because you're even thinking about these things. You're being, some people don't think about what their children are seeing in their relationships. They'll be like, this is grown ups business. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? They're not really thinking about what their children are seeing, but you are. And I want to applaud you for that. That's really good. Okay. Let's see. Are you finding an increase of SAD, seasonal adaptive disorder? What other recommendation besides increased light? Let's see, increased light might you recommend? I'm assuming that's what they're asking. I'm gonna let you take that one, Dr. White.
Sure. So there are a number of modern factors that are amplifying vulnerability to, and I believe it's seasonal affect disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So there's indoor living, which can cause reduced sunlight. There is screen exposure, which can have circadian disruption. Of course, we've been talking about chronic stress and burnout. So, elevated baseline levels of stress may make people more vulnerable to seasonal mood dysregulation. Also,
Mm-hmm.
social isolation, physical inactivity, and sleep dysregulation. So,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of treatment recommendations that go beyond the light therapy, the use of at least a 10,000 lux light box,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously increasing sunlight exposure, regular exercise is very important. So, aerobic exercise and resistance training can improve mood, energy, sleep, stress regulation, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep regulation is very important. In
Very.
terms of therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, in fact, there is actually a dimension of cognitive behavioral therapy specifically geared at seasonal affect disorder. Um,
Mm-hmm.
don't forget the role of antidepressants. So your sertraline, your fluoxetine, your Wellbutrin. And don't sleep on vitamin D. Vitamin
Oh,
D,
don't sleep on
yeah,
vitamin D.
making sure that that's not deficient, but then also making sure that you're getting adequate supply. So good nutritional optimization. Those are some of the recommendations that can go beyond just additional light therapy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Maybe, okay. This question, maybe in Barbados, they call them, we're not social workers, but we're mental health professionals. I mean, different titles. Dr. White's a psychiatrist. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, but I think I know that I'm kind of getting the gist of your question, Kaylani. How do you guys meet the needs of everyone, believer or unbeliever, while it's not compromising the truth? So I, um, I mean, I'm telling, biblical principles are just common sense too. So even when, it's like, but they don't, so, I mean, we've obviously been trained in our specific fields of mental health, but it's like I'm sorry, I'm speaking for you. When I'm, when I'm sharing with clients, I may be sharing a principle that I know comes from the Bible, but they don't know. It just is a common sense. This is a way that a human being should live, or in a relationship, this is how you should treat people. And so, and even I want to take it to this next level. So I don't know any, and I know many Christian therapists. I don't know any, but there might be a Christian therapist out there that won't see someone from the LGBTQ community. I am not one of those, and I have again never have met a therapist like that, because whether I agree with your lifestyle or not, you're human and you have relationship issues, whether that's with the same sex or whether that's you're going through depression, anxiety, whatever. You're just dealing with things. And so I don't really see a situation as a mental health professional that I would be compromising truth. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you live life better. And that's just the Christian thing to do. So it doesn't really matter. I just don't see where I would compromise. I don't see where I would need to compromise anything that I believe. I mean, I'm not going to encourage somebody to continue to cheat on their spouse. I'm not going to, have a parent be, not treat their children well. So I'm just saying, like, I think the role of our jobs and what we do is to make a person's life healthier and better and help them figure things out. So yeah, I enjoy my job as a Christian and working with anybody of any community from anywhere. I guess that's what I want to say. Go ahead. You take a stab at it, Dr. White.
Well, you answered that so well. I am so tempted to just hide behind that answer because it was so well said. People really love it when you help them solve their problem. Period. Like that's the game that we're actually in. We are in to helping people solve problems. And it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is or what your I don't know what your proclivity is, whatever your inclination, regardless of that, you've got this problem. And sometimes it's a problem in communication, or person needs medication. We were both trained from the perspective of unconditional positive regard. That means when a person comes in to get treatment from you, you are positioning yourself to take whatever resources they're bringing to use to their advantage. And truth is an important factor. It's just sometimes as clinicians, the mistake we make is when we're so focused on our position that we don't sufficiently focus on the patient or the client's issue. And that's when I think people can kind of get into some trouble. But when operating from the premise of unconditional positive regard and a healthy dose of being solution focused, I think both parties end up being very satisfied with the outcome.
Yes. Good answer. I think we're going to take one last, I don't know if there's another question or comment. I think we might have gotten to all of them, but we will be ending in just a few. All right. Yeah, I think that might have been our last one. Our last question of season 4. 4 seasons. That's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yes. So Mental Health Monday has been here for 4 years, have just completed 4 seasons. Now that's 4 live seasons, meaning like we are going to do some replays during the summer. So when you get the alerts that Mental Health Monday is about to go live, don't just be like, oh, I've seen that. You probably haven't seen. There's 4 years worth of stuff. So we're going to be picking the best ones that we're going to re-air. So definitely tune in, share them on your social media every time that they come up live. And we're just so thankful for all of you who come and share and talk about Mental Health Monday and let people know that we are here. So Dr. White, have a wonderful summer. I know it's not like I'm not going to ever talk to you again during the summer. I know I will. But in this setting, I won't talk to you until we usually come back right after Labor Day. So that's our thing. We end it right after Memorial Day and we come back right after Labor Day. So that's our summer break.
Have a wonderful and safe summer. God bless you
too. And to all of you, all of our viewing audience as well. Okay.
Bye-bye,
Thank
everyone.
you for watching. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.